An unknown mining company has prompted the Federal Bureau of Land Management to offer up 43,000 acres in the national forest near Mount Cheaha for oil and gas extraction that could involve hydraulic fracturing or fracking, a controversial practice that some states, such as New York and Vermont, have formally banned. About 125 people showed up in Talladega Monday night to learn about the plan and how they might fight it, and we were there to capture the event on video. Here are some of the clips from the video we shot. We'll have a larger video and story later.
This whole fracking issue has kind of just jumped up on us, and it has been a really scary thing and a hard thing to get a handle on. The Bureau of Land Management announced that they were going to sell 43,000 acres in the Talladega National Forest for gas and oil leases, but they didn't really announce it to any of us. Those of us who get messages and information from the Forest Service on a regular basis never heard this. We did get to hear from it the day before the comment period ended for the gas and oil lease sales. You haven't had a chance to do any research or learn about it. It is an extremely destructive way to get a little bit of natural gas. And only 20% of the wells that are fracked are productive. About 80% of them just peter out without any gas at all.
I just found out here tonight, and I'm Glynn with the Locust News Journal, that the public comment period has already ended. So my question basically is there any chance for the citizens with any kind of political pressure, considering the system in this state, of demanding an actual formal public hearing or anything like that?
Well, the comment period for the lease sale has ended to comment on the proposed lease sale. But that doesn't mean that you can't write your senators, your representatives, your councilmen, your county commissioners, all of those folks. That's still that can have a huge influence if it really shows that people are upset and concerned about what may happen because of this proposed lease sale.
Okay. Do we know yet whether or not any of the other federal agencies, like for example U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service or the regional Forest Service people, what their expert public comments were in that process?
We don't.
We will know though if they did say anything at some point, right?
If they say anything publicly, of course we'll know, but hopefully we'll get some consultation. That's another thing we brought up in our protest letter, is that U.S. Fish and Wildlife should be consulting with BLM and the U.S. Forest Service on this proposed lease sale, because there's threatened endangered species involved in the forest.
Have you asked them to extend the public comment period and do public hearings?
We haven't, because we got ours in and it closed, and that's not what we can focus right now.
Fracking is a frightful thing for your community. If they punch holes on Cheaha, it may come out in Silicaca, or it may come out in Montgomery. And when I say come out, I mean to say to you, when they frack, they put water, sand, and chemicals in the amount of somewhere between 4 million gallons and 6 million gallons in a hole. Those chemicals are going to come to the surface at some point in time. Fracking is not a good process. It's been around for a long time. They put water, sand, and chemicals in the ground in the hopes of breaking up rock units at depth, breaking up those rock units to release oil and gas so that we can burn it or we can drive with it. If they drill holes on all of these sites that they're talking about, it's going to affect all of us. It's going to affect everyone in the state of Alabama. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone from BLM here. We don't have anyone, I assume, from Forest Service. We don't have any elected officials here. The only way this is going to change is if we put some grease to the squeaky wheel. Everyone here is going to have to complain, and you're going to have to complain loudly to your representatives at the state level and at the federal level.
Public land that has been set aside for all of the people. And no single entity and no corporation has the right to come in and cut down all of our trees and pollute our water, our ponds and our streams and our rivers, pollute our air, which also happens with fracking, and consequently threaten our own personal health. Is the theft for a corporation to come in and to drill on our national forests. And for our federal agencies, the ones who are charged with protecting our resources, our natural resources on public lands, to allow this theft to happen is a crime. The disastrous process of fracking would be implemented to accomplish this theft, we believe, is a crime against nature and a crime against humanity. And we are just dead set on stopping this. Even though the comment period is over, we can still make a loud racket. And it's going to take a lot of voices from a lot of people to stop these lease sales on June 14th. But the good news is that this is beginning to happen because a lot of people are really upset about this. And a lot of local landowners, like a lot of yourselves are, I'm sure, and anybody who depends on air and water should be really upset about this, because once fracking happens, it doesn't just stay within the bounds of a particular parcel. It can go through the watershed, into all the rivers and streams, and into your wells and your ponds, and even into the air. It's been shown that places where this horizontal high-volume hydraulic fracking occurs, there's a lot of methane in the air. And then this causes a lot of respiratory problems for people.
I very, very, very much love the area that we're talking about here. But I've noticed something in my 40-some years on this planet, and that is that when it comes down to jobs versus the environment always loses. And I think that if we want to win this issue, we've got to also undermine the argument about how this is going to be good for our community, job-wise. I wasn't into the fracking issue until just a few weeks ago. I'd heard about it, of course, but I really didn't know a whole lot about what it meant in terms of the jobs in the community. And I found out some things. I found out that most of the jobs that are supposedly created don't really benefit the community. Most of the jobs required to operate a well takes very few. Most of them are in the creation of a well. And most of those are done by teams of guys that travel around the country. Maybe they're in North Dakota right now. Maybe they'll be in New Mexico in a couple of years. But they'll come, they'll clear the land, they'll build a well, and they'll move on. So those jobs aren't going to benefit us. Also the roads. They have thousands of truck trips that come in and out. They talk about the traffic and the noise and all that stuff, but it actually tears up the roads. You look around, and we have a resource here right now. People will come in from out of state, maybe even out of the country. The races that we run, the Pinhoti 100, the Cheaha 50K, and all those different things. They bring people in that eat in our restaurants, stay in the hotels, spend money here. Has anybody looked at what the economic impact would be on our community if people didn't want to come here anymore? Because when you stand up there at Bald Rock, you're looking down on a bunch of gas wells. We will lose money if this happens from other sources. They're coming in and basically taking a resource that we have from us, liquidating it, and going away, and we're left with a mess. we have to also make the argument that this is going to hurt our community, and we're not going to get much back for it. And in the end, we'll be worse for it. And I really think that if we can make those arguments, that it doesn't make economic sense, not just the altruistic, hey, we love the forest, we don't want to see it ruined. I think we're going to have a better chance of actually stopping this.